Okay, so numbers. The idea of the before is that when we started some time ago getting on the new version of the CRS, we were working for some time on the v33. And then we started talking about improvements. What are we going to do for this version? Where are we going to add? What is the problems we're having now that we would like to be really solved in this next edition? And when we started thinking about things, then suddenly we start hitting problems on the road. And we start discussing big things like how are we going to do this and which of the changes we are going to include in this edition are going to be basically added to this version. And we started adding solutions, we started adding changes, and suddenly something that it was going to turn a version 3.4 suddenly was a major release because we did so many changes, and the changes that were impacting this release were not backported and were never going to be backported. We needed a major release. So that's why we ended up with v4. So a quick recap on this. We have basically v33 is the latest major release. We have kind of I will not say weird, but I would like to have more sem-ver versioning, like semantic versioning, with the classic, in a way, numbering. But some time ago, we decided that we are just doing the major, minor, and patch versions in a different way. You can read about that on the releases page, and basically releases are basically latest major. In this case, is 3.3, not version 3, because 3.2 is very different. On this thing, the first version of the 3.3 is basically 3.3.0. Which is nearly 3 years ago. For a security product, it's a long time. And remember that when we change patch versions, we only do small fixes. It's not that we are changing a lot. So basically right now we are living in version 3.3.4, which was only small fixes and security fixes from version 3.3, right? There has been like more than 2,000 commits between the 3.3 and v4, which is the development version we are living right now. And it's probably going to have way more commits still for the things we're doing. As a major reference, from 3.2.0 to 3.3.0, there were 1,735 commits apart. So we are way ahead, and we rewrote a lot. So what changed? A lot, and we did add a lot of changes. Basically, we renamed parallel levels. We changed things like names on the variables that we were using for reporting and blocking. So there was a whole discussion on the naming, and we came with a different naming scheme for blocking and reporting. And we did a very thorough thought about how to make this work better for us. And I think the outcome was really good, and we discussed a lot about this. And it was really, really interesting on how we get to that point with major players involved on really getting to know what was happening. We introduced a new plugins architecture, which is really, really an incredible thing for every integrator out there. Because one of the things that we did was basically shrink the core rule set. So now the core rule set is more core than before, in a way. So all the exception rules that we had for example, WordPress and other tooling that we were bringing with the CRS, now we left that off. So in fact, the footprint that we have with CRS is smaller. And we create an architecture for plugins that anyone can use. And you can right away just bring your own plugin and basically use it with the detailed configuration and documentation that we have. It's very easy for anyone to just create a plugin and ship it on. So this was a real major change for us. I will say that in particular, the configuration setup and things like that is kind of it's not as clean as we would like in a way. It will be. We discuss a lot on how to do it cleaner, but because we are widening now our spectrum on what we are including. Like we used to be very focused on only mod security as a core rule set, but now we have different new players, and the way that we use things, we're very focused on mod security, and we're going to talk a little bit on mod security and the problems we are facing right now with it, but basically we did solve this for mod security in a way that was compatible with other engines, right? And I think the plugin architecture is one of the things that is going to be really useful for other people, so they don't mess in a way with the CRS, but they can use it with confidence that everything is going to work properly. What else? We added rule set that we were really behind. I think that the SSRF, it's a super necessary addition for many of you that use cloud or others, and we're really being impacted by SSRF. I think that the usage there and the tooling we're using is going to be really useful for you for detecting even in lower paranoia levels, the basic scans and things like that. So that was a good one. We discuss a lot on email in general, like POP3 and IMAP and SMTP, which is not your normal target. It will depend a lot on what you're using, but we added a rule set for every protocol. So POP3, IMAP v4, and SMTP is covered right now. And this was a long time addition that we had that in our issue list for a long time. Quality. I cannot stress enough. I think that we are going to achieve we created a lot of tests. The amount of commits that we have for testing the rules itself, it's incredible. And I'm really, as a CRS member and leader, I'm really proud of the quality of the product that we are shipping now. Whenever V4 is going out, the quality of it is going to be really, really good. At least from my understanding and what the tests we're having. For example, we used to have a very small amount set of tests for the rules, both positive and negative. And now one of the things that we are having, because we stress that a lot in past CRS meetups, developer meetups, was basically we need to have tests for all the rules we are shipping. We need to have, and we need to have both positive and negative. So this was a real good focus that we devoted a lot of time on writing tests. And right now, for every change that we do, we try to have positive and negative tests, which is something that it's only giving us more quality on the product we're shipping, right? And it was a long time achievement that we have for really getting on the quality of the things. Also, we are, as I said, we have a plugins architecture that we are now finalizing on the testing side. We are going to have tests also for the plugins we are shipping. So that's another good thing. We didn't used to have plugins for our exclusion rule sets. So we are shipping with exclusion rule sets that you might be using, but for example, if your WordPress version changes, you're not sure that things are really being excluded or not. Of course, you are going to know because you're going to be blocked whenever you activate that. But now with this, we will have a really good knowledge that the things are happening as we plan or not, because we have tests. So that's really awesome. I cannot stress enough the usage of this. So for getting this, so while we were doing this, we used to do for V3, we used to do, for example, a lot of small tooling that we used to have in Python. And at some point, we were mixing Python with a Perl tool that we use for assembling our regex. We have a bunch of regex that we are using for the sec rules we are generating. And really, the tool that we were using was very limited, both from one side on the Perl side, that the tool generating the regexes was really limited on many aspects, but also really unmaintained. So getting it to do whatever we were needing was really a pain, and we needed to do a top of layers and small additions in scripts before running the tool. So in the end, we ended having like a lot of scripting before running the tool, which was a pain to maintain, and also maintaining all versions of everything. So with that in mind, with another developer from the CRS team, Max Lesky, we basically thought about why not creating a new tool that just brings us all together. We're using a lot of scripting in Python. We're using Perl tooling. But at some point, we decided that we were going to rewrite all these tools using Golang, because this is the language that we're using for other tools that we are creating right now. So by switching from 3 or 4 different scripting tools to one tool that is just the binary, that's a massive change, because now anyone can use the tool and generate things without being a CRS developer and cloning all the Git repo, for example. So you just need the tool for doing whatever you're doing. And this was a massive change for us, because right now you just get the tool, use whatever you need. We are the maintainers. So whatever change we need to do, then it's just creating an issue and doing it. We also went very strict with all the testing we have for this tool. So right now, by switching to Golang, we have one way of testing things for all the tooling, which was another really good addition on what we are doing, because we have tests for practically everything, and we have very good coverage on the tool itself. So that's a real win for the project. And of course, dumping all the tooling, it was really a cleaning step that we needed. And again, another thing that it's kind of hiding there is that we changed the regular expression generator. So right now, we switched it from the old Perl regex assembly tool, which have some defects around that we needed to update by using our own scripting, to a more strict tool. So right now, because we changed it from one PCRE-based tool, like the Perl regular engine, to a Golang tool, now we are leveraging all the Golang internal regex parsing for this. So this is really well tested by the, of course, Golang community. And because we are using the Golang standard regex parser, we have all the strength and all the possibilities of the parser itself. And it's very easy to use and understand, because we drop a lot of lines of code that we technically don't even knew what they were for. For the regex tool in Perl, it was a very complex and cumbersome tool that once a regular expression entered there, we didn't know what happened, right? Of course, we knew the output and we were very happy with it. But now we rely on a really, really good parser for generating the regular expressions. So we are really, really happy with that. The second thing that came with that is basically CRS right now in V4 dev is basically ER2 compatible. So we dropped everything that was PCRE only. And this is a real good change for us because right now there are some things that we don't have anymore, like look aheads and look behinds, and things that for regular expressions were really basically very difficult to maintain if we were thinking about different engines. And we were, because of the things that were happening with most security, we started some time ago, a year ago, maybe thinking about other engines and where is our future. But also, if you think about that, many cloud providers also do have some representation or some reimplementation of the tooling that CRS uses. It was really a good move forward to basically drop PCRE only support, because modern languages, while they probably can have a library or something to execute PCRE regular expressions, of course they are more comfortable with other regular expressions that don't have problems with regular expression DOS, and things like really are going to explode in states and give you a real bad performance. So we did a lot of work there and tried to basically understand which were the rules that were hurting us most, and rewrote all the rules to be RE2 compatible with the same syntax. So this is really an amazing job that the team did. It was I'm very proud of that. It took a very long time to figure out how to drop this, and we created the rules that I think it's going to be really good for other people to adapt and really feel comfortable that basically you're in the future going to have linear time on the expression you're evaluating, and not a problem with the state that PCRE used to have and consume all this memory, and basically we were prone to regular expression DOS. So all this comes with the new tooling, and I think it's a real good tool that you can already use. It's of course in our core rule set, and we can see it afterwards, all the links and so on. So of course, the question we'll have now is, okay, you talk a lot, Felipe, you talk a lot about CRSv4. So when can we test it? When is it going to be out? Well, I'm not going to talk about right now because we have a special talk for that. But yeah, last year, one of the things that we have was basically the bug bounty program that we were in, and we have a lot of bypasses there that we needed to fix. We needed even engine fixes. So, but I'm going to talk about that later. The idea is that we are basically merging, probably as we speak, we are merging the last fixes. So for that particular massive problem that we have with the bug bounty, we are basically merging the last fixes in the next weeks, the next days. We also thought about and discussed about in our meetings about basically paranoia levels and the things that we need to do for protecting better on paranoia level 1. I don't know which of the paranoia levels you're basing your installations, but normally I will say a lot of, 80% or so, they do paranoia level 1 first, and they start with that. Some people will not get to upper paranoia levels sometimes, but it depends a lot on where you're doing. So in the end, we thought that we need to do better protection for paranoia level 1. And the thing is that we use a lot of lists with words and things like that in paranoia level 1. And the lists were basically outdated, like even 10 years or 12 years old. And that for a security product, as we know, that's a long time. So even if you have a small bypass there, even if it's paranoia level 1, we can do better as CRS project. So what we are doing now is basically we still have some pending updates on data files. And the other major thing that we have is we want to provide you with tests for all the plugins we support. Right now for CRSv4, we decided on basically using all the exclusion rules that we used to have, like for CRSv4, Doku, wikis, and WordPress and Drupal. The idea is that we are going to provide tests for all those because we basically moved that from the actual core to plugins. So yeah, at least let's bring some tests on those, and then we can ship with confidence CRSv4. So that's basically what we are up to right now. So the answer is when it's done. When it's done. We need to also prove that all the reports that we have are fixed. We don't want to ship something that is proved that have a vulnerability or a bypass out there, which is not fixed. So we are pending on the list updates, some documentation. So how to install before, what are the changes, like syncing with the shipment that we're going to do with the release, with the documentation on the website and so on. And then release candidate. So I'm very positive that in the next weeks and even in the next month, we are going to have at least a release candidate, hopefully, for those who are looking in the video in 6 months and we are still not having the release candidate. Please, we were supposed to have that. Well, can you help? Yes, you can. There is a long-standing issue with all the lists that we are updating. It's not that much, but at least we are lacking some time on doing the update on PHP and some of the Java errors. So if you're PHP or you work with PHP, then it's a good thing. You don't need to create, but commenting on what you're doing or what you think and how do you use that and what's going to bring for you. That's good enough. You don't need to write rules. You just need to be part of the project. And that's basically it that I have for the status update. Thanks, of course, to all our amazing sponsors that keep the project working and alive. And that's basically it. I don't know if you have questions for the status update. I can go back and you can ask whatever you need. I like the silence. No questions? No. What amazing tool did you create? Can I use it right now? What do you expect from that? Another thing that we did in the meantime that was a consequence of time, I guess, is basically we deprecated the usage of our testing tool, which was known as FTW, the framework for testing WAFs, which was a Python tool that Kane Sanders created along with other people some years ago. And we created a Go FTW tool, which replaces basically the Python tool. So now we have the same, and you don't need to get all the Python tooling. You just use the Go binary. And we also added a lot of additional features there. So as I said before, basically, because we were switching to Go as the main language for all the tooling, it was a good switch. And we did that change on January 1st. So now all our production tests are running on Go FTW. So that's another tool that you can check for your tests. And I think that we can round up at the end of the event with some ideas that we can throw about after before. But we are really focused on before right now. But we have a lot of ideas for V5, if I may call V5, or major versions. And things and toolings and other stuff for getting better quality. We are really, really focused on quality from now on. and I think we are achieving good standard levels for, at least from the base, from the origin. And of course, you can add any test you want on top of that. But I think it's going to have a real difference between previous versions with the quality we are achieving now.
Did I understand you correctly that in the end we will have time? In the end of the day, we will have time to see Go FTW.
We can. So the question was, can we have some time in the end to use and see how Go FTW is working? Yes, of course. We can talk about it. I can show you, or any of the guys that is using it. Yeah, for sure. One of the things that we are, at least I'm planning to, is just adding more capabilities to the tool right now. So we are really focused on getting before. So that's the main objective, and no question about that. But one of the things that we are doing is basically we really thought about this as an opening version for other engines. And Juan Pablo is going to talk a little bit about that. But basically, we want to embrace more engines and be easy for other engines to adapt CRS. Because we know major players use CRS. All practically, we cannot say all, but practically most cloud providers have in some form CRS installed. Maybe not the latest version. Some of them they have, but not every, right? And we want to be we want to promote us for being a tool that is very easy to adapt for your cloud offering or for whatever offering you have, and be really easy to adapt for your needs. And with that in mind, one of the things that we are trying to do, or we have plans for doing, is basically, can I run my tests for my own engine? Maybe my engine is doing a different thing. Right now, our test expects some answer or some response from the web server, and my implementation of my web server does a different thing. So how can I use the same tool for doing testing on whatever I'm doing? And that's one thing that we are contemplating. Can we change what we're doing on the FTW side to get more engines on board? And how are we going to change that to support more engines? And this is a discussion we used to have for the old Python FTW. It's like, can we add different results for different engines? And with the version or the tooling we had at the moment, we were limited in that sense. So for when V4 is out and we can focus on the tooling and things we have around the CRS, I think it's going to be a good target to focus on that, on testing different engines, have different outputs, and just write one test for many engines and consolidate tests is going to be a real opportunity for basically knowing that you're compatible with CRS. Cool. Any other questions? Comments? Ideas? Awesome. And I think we can stop and go for a coffee break. And thanks. Woohoo!